Hello, my name is Chris, and today I want to talk to you about quitting smoking during this global coronavirus pandemic. It's a very scary, very uncertain, very unprecedented time that we are going through right now. And for so many people, quitting smoking is the furthest thing from their mind. But for many others, it's actually a real priority, and it's like, I really need to quit smoking right now. However, we are finding that quitting smoking now, the coronavirus presents unique situations and unique challenges that people quitting need to get through that they wouldn't have to face if everything was normal. So I'm going to address those challenges and what to do about them. Today I'm going to start by talking about why it actually really is a really good time to quit smoking right now, even despite all the stress, the anxiety and the worry. And I want to talk about how to deal with that stress, anxiety and worry, and why we absolutely can and will succeed in our quit attempt despite all of that. I've spent most of this week trying to organize my thoughts, trying to think about how I would present this video to you, and I've come to the realization that it's too big a topic to cram into one video, especially at the rate that I just keep blabbing on. So today I'm going to talk about why we should quit now, and I'm going to talk about dealing with the stress. Then I'm going to make at least one other video, and I want to talk about that unique challenge of being stuck in isolation, being stuck on lockdown with someone who is still smoking, refuses to quit, and it's causing all kinds of triggers. However, if you are finding that the COVID-19 is presenting a unique situation for you that is impacting your quit attempt and you want me to discuss it in that video, let me know in the comments below, and I absolutely will do my best to address it. Now, let's start with this argument that actually now is a really good time to quit smoking. It is too early in this whole thing to have absolutely irrefutable, undeniable evidence about the impact of smoking on people's likelihood of contracting COVID-19 and their likelihood of having severe symptoms. However, we are starting to see studies being done, and we are starting to hear from medical experts advising us, yes, smoking does likely play a factor. There was one study I was reading this morning, and though I forget the exact figures, it was a study done of COVID-19 cases in China, and they looked at, I think it was 1,099 people who had contracted the virus. And out of those, 25% of the people who had severe symptoms were smokers, compared to only 4% of people who had mild symptoms that were smokers. So we can see some sort of picture starting to form that if you are a smoker and you do get it, you are more likely to have the severe symptoms. Although again, as I say, it's too early. We still need more evidence. We still need more research to say that that is undeniably the case. That's just, what's come out right now. In the meantime, we are hearing from more and more medical experts who are saying that, look, yeah, it is likely to play a part, and it is just common sense. We all know that smoking damages our lungs, it damages our respiratory system, and given this is a respiratory, I can't say that word, respiratory virus, it makes sense that if our lungs are compromised, if our lungs are damaged, if our respiratory system is weakened, then it has less of a chance at fighting this virus. Meanwhile, we are being told that people with underlying health conditions are more susceptible to, getting the severe harsh symptoms that come with this. And again, none of us are unaware of the fact that smoking increases our likelihood of other health conditions, at the extreme end, cancer and heart disease, but, even smaller health conditions that could make us more vulnerable. So we're starting to get this clear picture. I also read there was a study done, in fact multiple studies, that have shown that people who smoked were twice as likely to contract influenza and twice as likely to get the severe symptoms of that than people who didn't smoke. Likewise, we are, what's the one thing that we have been told since this whole thing started? Don't touch your face. And what do we do when we smoke? We spend so much time with this hand to mouth thing, constantly touching our face, maybe blowing smoke out of our eyes. So on a very practical level, we are increasing our risk. So although it's not my intention to use fear, I don't believe that fear is a sufficient motivator. I'm just saying, evidence is mounting up that it could play a part, which means, if we are worried about the COVID-19, there is very little of this that is within our control, but what we can control is whether we smoke or not, whether we go outside or not. This is one thing that we can do right now to protect ourselves. Meanwhile, there is no evidence that going through the quit process increases our likelihood of contracting COVID-19. There's no evidence that suggests that quitting smoking will increase the severity of the symptoms if we do catch it. Even though we have to be honest that for some people, not everybody, but for some people, quitting smoking can knock us on our arse a bit. It can, leave us feeling pretty crappy for a brief, temporary period of time. I will never promise you that quitting smoking is easy, but I will always promise you that it will be worth it. For some people, in fact for all of us, when we quit smoking, our bodies, these amazing, miraculous machines that we occupy, get to work right away in cleaning and healing and repairing the years of damage and abuse that we've done to ourselves. Our bodies continue to love us even if we weren't particularly loving towards ourselves for many years, and they start repairing all that damage done. And as you can imagine, that takes a pretty big toll on us. It might leave us feeling run down, tired, etc. And it might, especially make us cough more than usual because our lungs are getting all that tar and all that gunk and all that poison out by coughing. So, although I appreciate that not everybody is isolated right now, some people are out there keeping us fed and safe and protected, and if I had a hat I would take it off to you. But if you are in a fortunate position to be isolated, fortunate enough to be locked down right now, then it is a good way to stay back and get that cough out of the way without increasing the risk of coughing on somebody else and making them ill. Likewise, if you are isolated right now, even if you are working from home and still have kids to look after and all that, it is a good time to go through that withdrawal stage and to start to recover, while some, maybe not all, but some of the day-to-day stresses and pressures are off. I've shared before in many videos that smoking is one of the only addictions I know of where you are expected to carry on as normal, even though when you are quitting that addiction, even though the quit process can be quite intense for some people. If we were giving up alcohol, if we were addicted to alcohol and giving up alcohol, if we were addicted to drugs and breaking the addiction to drugs, then we might go to a treatment center, we might go to, have a home detox, or we would at least in some way hit the pause button and take time out so that our bodies can start healing and that we can recover. We even, we say, I'm a recovering alcoholic, I'm a recovering addict. But you don't hear many people say, I'm a recovering former smoker, because we don't really get the time to recover. We have to just keep going. And it strikes me that, it's no surprise so many of us relapse, because quitting smoking for many people is a big life-changing event that impacts us physically, mentally, and emotionally. And yet we're supposed to deal with all that while still juggling the day-to-day pressures of everyday life. So there is an opportunity here, if we are on lockdown, where that pause button has been hit for us. We can go through this process and emerge on the other side healthier, happier, and with a greater sense of freedom than we've ever experienced before. Yes, it might be unpleasant, it might be uncomfortable, but it will absolutely pass. You can come to our Finding Freedom Quit Smoking support group on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/findingfreedom1, and I guarantee you will find, at least a handful of people who are making great progress in their quit journey, and will tell you, do you know what, I actually feel pretty great right now and I don't have any of those symptoms, and I'm one of them. Now, you're saying to me, okay Chris, yeah, I get it, now's a good time to quit smoking, but on the other hand it really isn't, because there is so much stress right now, there is so much anxiety and fear and worry and panic. And cigarettes are the one thing that helped me get through all those things. Cigarettes are my clutch, and you're telling me that I have to go through this terrible experience without a cigarette. Well, I'm not saying that you have to, but I am saying that you can. That it is entirely possible if you want to. Because the truth is that even though we have conditioned ourselves to believe that smoking equals stress relief, that smoking eases anxiety, that smoking helps us deal with fear and panic, the truth, and I wholeheartedly believe this, the truth is that smoking is very ineffective as a method of genuine stress relief. It's why so many of us chain smoke during periods of really intense stress or really traumatic events. It's why you can drive past a hospital and see people outside smoking one cigarette after another. Maybe they've just been through a traumatic event, maybe they've just been given some terrible news and it shook them to the core. They are stressed, they are worried, whatever the case may be, and they have equated, okay, smoking equals stress relief, and I've never been more stressed in my life right now, so I'll have a cigarette. So they have the cigarette and the stress is still there and still as strong as ever, and go, that didn't work, I better have another cigarette. But that didn't work, so I better have another cigarette, and another, and another. And by the time they've gone through the whole pack of cigarettes, all the stress is still there. Because smoking is really ineffective at getting rid of genuine stress. The only stress it gets rid of is the stress caused by the craving for nicotine, which is caused buy the last cigarette. I don't know about you, but I can remember times when I smoked and I'd be really anxious about something, I'd be really stressed, and I'd go, okay, I'm going to go for a cigarette. And I have the cigarette. I don't remember ever a time smoking a cigarette and going, do you know what, I was really stressed before, but now I feel calm and relaxed and happy. Didn't happen. I bet if you stopped me and said to me, now you've had that cigarette, how do you feel? If I was being absolutely honest with you, I would probably say, well, do you know what? I feel pretty much the same, but at least I've had that cigarette. So that's one less thing for me to be stressed about. And that's the kicker right there. We've had the stress, we've relieved the stress of wanting a cigarette, but we haven't relieved the stress of the problem itself. When we are stressed, when we are anxious, worried, fearful, panicking, we are so much more aware of how we are feeling, not just emotionally, but physically too. All of our senses are heightened. Therefore, we are more aware of our body craving nicotine. A craving that may have only been mild if we were just getting on with the day-to-day, but once we become stressed, we become acutely aware that we haven't got any nicotine, and then we seek to alleviate that stress with the cigarette. And besides, even if somehow we smoked and felt joyful and zen, the problem would remain. This is a harsh truth. This brings me no joy to say this, but there are no amount of cigarettes in the world that will cure the coronavirus. There are no amount of cigarettes in the world that will make COVID-19 go away. Just as there are no amount of cigarettes in the world that will make a red light turn to green, that will solve our relationship problems, that will pay our debts, deal with our problems at work, or fix whatever situation we are going on. We can smoke all the cigarettes in the world, but we will still have to deal with that. And I get it. I do. A lot of us feel powerless right now. It's a really anxious time. I'm not immune from this. I spoke about my mental health in other past videos. I went to the store last week and was on the verge of a major anxiety attack. I came out the store, I was close to tears just because I was so overwhelmed by it all. So I get it, a lot of us are feeling powerless right now. But as powerless as we may feel, we always have the power not to smoke. We always, no matter what is going on, unless somebody physically ties our hands behind our backs and shoves a cigarette in our mouths, we always have the power to decide not to smoke. We have the power to decide to do something different. We can't control what is going on in the world right now, but we can control our response to it if we choose to. That is so important. And you're saying to me, okay, Chris, you've spoken now for 19 minutes, and I get it, but what am I supposed to do if I am so super stressed about all this? There are so many things that you can do. You know the one thing that really relieves your stress. Not smoking, not alcohol. Maybe it's having a bath. Maybe it's reading a book. Maybe it's listening to music. You know the one thing that really makes you feel better. However, I would like to recommend a few things that I have developed that you might find helpful. One of them is the 5 senses grounding technique that helps to deal with feelings of anxiety and overwhelm. When we are in those places, we are operating from our emotional state, whereas this technique is I think it's a CBT technique, brings us out of the emotional state and into a cognitive state where we can think much more clearly and we can think much more rationally about what we want to do. And it can help us to hit that pause button when we are feeling majorly anxious. It can also help us to hit that pause button if we are obsessing about having a cigarette. I've made 2 videos where I talk through the technique. I'll link to both of them down in the description below and one of them in the cards in this video. You can also, if you find that technique useful, you can download a free MP3 version of it to take with you and listen. You can get that from chrisscoyles.com/downloads. Again, the link is in the description. On that downloads page, you will also find some other CBT and neuro-linguistic programming techniques that might help you deal with the stress. One of them is called the Feel Amazing Anchor. We put our thumb and our finger together and we build up all these positive feelings. And this technique will help us to feel positive and feel calm without cigarettes. In fact, to feel positive and calm in a way that no cigarette in the universe could ever achieve. You will also find a technique called This Is Who I Really Am. It is a visualization exercise to help us tap into our own inner motivation to quit smoking and to actually get excited about the process rather than seeing it as something fearful or to be scared of. I've spoken for a very long time today, which is why I'm splitting up these videos. In the next video, I'll talk about dealing with that thing of being isolated with someone who doesn't want to quit smoking and dealing with the triggers that causes. However, as I said before, if there is some aspect of the pandemic that is making your quit difficult and you'd like me to talk about it, let me know in the comments below, or just let me know how you are getting on in your journey. I always love to hear from you. Once again, our Quit Smoking support group is on Facebook, facebook.com/groups/findingfreedom1. Yes, the link is in the description, as is the link to get my book. It is called Quit Smoking and Be Happy. If you found anything in this video helpful, you'll find a lot more of the same in that book, available from Amazon and Google Play in print and ebook form. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you are safe. I hope you are well. I just hope you're okay right now. I will see you in my next video. Thank you so much for watching. Goodbye.